Good evening once again and welcome to another Doctor on Call. Well, we are quickly approaching the end of the year, and so, it's a good time to start reflecting, on the past year. Have you met your goals, or are you close to, achieving them? And it's also a good thing to start considering goals for the coming year. It's that time when we do these things, and it's very important. I think it helps us, to focus on the important things in our lives. And when I say important, I mean important. All right, and of course, the top of the list should be your wellness, because if you're not well, then all other goals are going to be, just thrown to the side. You have to be well so that you can start working towards them and achieving them. So I tell you what, of course, we have a very interesting program this evening. Dr. Nixon is with us as always, and we're looking forward to the discussion. We welcome all our viewers on GBN Television 7 and 11, our friends on our Facebook page, that's the GBN Live, and also on our YouTube channel, and our listeners on K105 FM. Welcome. It is a pleasure as always. Dr. Nixon, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. I'm heading to well.
You're heading to well?
Yeah.
It doesn't look that to me. It look like you've been there a while now.
Don't let that fool you.
You probably don't realize it, but I think you've been there a while now, probably.
I'm heading to well. There's always better I can do.
Yeah. Well, of course, there's always room.
So good evening to everyone. And I want to send special warm greetings and hot cocoa tea with bakes and fish cake to my friends in North America, who I know have it very hot. I'm just come from North America yesterday. It was really, really very cold.
Yeah.
But I tolerated the cold because I was only there for a few days. The people who have to tolerate a winter as bad as last year's was, I'm really in sympathy with them. It can be very disheartening, depressing, limitation of movement and all the rest. You can get cabin fever, lock up in the house with people that you don't like. Kind of like what we experienced during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
But I really wish them hot cocoa tea, okay? That's what I could say, Grenadian cocoa tea.
Hot cocoa tea, yeah. With some little spice and so. Yeah.
I like a cinnamon in there.
This is really good.
I like a dash and nutmeg.
Yeah, this is really good.
And cook some salt and you could use coconut milk.
Oh yeah, coconut milk is good. I don't particularly care for the salt, but the coconut milk.
It kind of lives. It doesn't have to be a whole lot of salt. You don't even have to taste it, just to live the flavor.
Yeah.
And then you have to drink it from a pan cup and go.
No. You have to make sure that you have to fan it. You have to fan cocoa tea. well, doc, take
one Milo pan.
You have to fan the cocoa tea, and when you fan it, what happens now? The little froth that settle at the top, and that's when you get the.
That's latte.
That's when you get that froth at the top there. It's such a wonderful feeling. Yeah.
But seriously, it's a good time for chocolate. There's ways we have to find ways to deal with the weather. Mm-hmm. We can't change it. People still have to go to work. They still have to do their normal economic activities. Mm-hmm. But I really wish them I respect some reprieve. Yeah. Every time I go away, the day after I leave, they have a snowstorm, temperature drop lower.
Yeah. Well, we have to pay attention to what is happening around us. In fact, last week there was the third, G Climate Talks hosted here in Grenada. And, it was a sort of discussion and an overview of what actually took place at COP30. And clearly, there is urgent need for action. on our part. Urgent need on our part. And strikingly, there were three of the major players did not attend. The US, China, and India. And so
the manufacturers, the makers of exhaust.
Yeah. So it's important that islands like ours, we need to pay attention and do whatever we can to minimize and adapt.
Unfortunately, least industrialized countries will suffer the most. We pay the highest cost because we're still among the least rich, and natural disasters. Let's not even talk about Melissa and what she's done to Jamaica, decimated Jamaica. I don't know when Jamaica is going to get up, but that is a sign of global warming and how the storms are going to be bigger, badder, and really intense with less conscience.
Doc, and this is interesting because a lot of times we hear about climate fund and that these industrialized countries should pay and all of that, and while I agree, but we just can't. But you see, there's another side to that we need to pay attention to. Yes, the funds is one thing, so we can build back and probably build back better. But the point is, sometimes I feel, it's like a payment for these industrialized countries. It's like giving them permission to do what they're doing.
To continue.
So they pay us so that they can.
There's no mindset change. There's no conscience. There's no change. There's no understanding because their loss is much less than ours.
That's the point.
And they stand to benefit economically.
So I think yes, while we need the fund to build back and build back better, but while we're building back better, the hurricanes are getting more intense. So it should not be a case where they pay us to continue doing what they're doing. We have to now, and one of the presenters there was saying, look, it is time for serious collaboration with Caribbean islands to come together and speak with one voice, so that pressure can be placed where it is supposed to. We need to stop, emitting these greenhouse gases. Because if we don't, you can get all the money you want. You are going to face destruction every year. Climate fund.
It makes people less resilient to change.
But that's the thing.
When they give it the money. Yeah.
No amount of fund is going to prevent the hurricanes from coming unless we stop the emission of greenhouse gases. So
and to compensate for the magnanimous losses, because it takes us probably two generations to recuperate to get back to where we were economically. You can jump, but think about the Jamaicans. So many houses they have to build.
Yeah, but the point is, and you see, Doc, that's my worry. So yes, maybe Jamaica, they might give Jamaica loads of money to build back, but guess what? Come 2026, what happens?
There's an next hurricane.
But that's the point.
When Jonathan come on.
That's the point. So the important issue here is to find a way to put pressure on these countries to stop greenhouse gases emission, and that's how we're going to solve the problem.
Melissa has been very personal for me because I've lived in Jamaica for a long time. And the area in which I lived in Jamaica is the area that's probably one of the worst hits. I know the house I lived in survived because I asked one of the neighbors how did it go, because it's mostly concrete anyway. But my friends, I look at one of my friends who, a mother who in her late 50s, for the first time she's owning a home, for she and her other children are grown and married and have their own children, and she has a young daughter. And for the first time, she's able to buy a little home. And the river just came and ran through it. 7 feet of water. When the water subsided, she had 5 inches of mud and nothing left in her house. She and dozens of other people who live in that settlement, which the river runs beside it. But the river would run down. But we have cut down the trees, so the whole watershed problem has.
And this is where we have to look. This is where we have to look. We need to stop doing things that can, continue creating problems, and focus on the important things. Because come 2026. The hurricanes are coming again.
Another set.
And it's
probably going to be another one of us.
And they're getting worse. They're getting more intense. intense. So
they're not as frequent, but they're more intense. It's like they add up to come, right? It's crazy.
Of course.
It's crazy. We just need to pray that we don't fall into the path of the hurricanes, because the cloud is barely getting off the ground. We still haven't gotten over from Ivan 20 years ago.
We have to get prepared. We have to be prepared.
We have to be prepared, mentally and otherwise.
Doc, if we usually when I start and I get going on this climate change issue, I don't want to stop. So, but we getting to the end of the year, Doc.
So I was talking to a group of my colleagues this week, and we were looking at the impact of colleagues in Caribbean College of family physicians, and we were talking about the impact. And a young couple from Bahamas was explaining what their experiences were with Dorian 6 years ago. And then the people who could talk now, and other people were already affected in Jamaica, because Kingston, the more economically viable area, was luckily for them not as affected, right? But all the agriculture, St. Elizabeth is a breadbasket, and St. Elizabeth is decimated. And we're talking, I'm saying there are things, it's not business as usual. Yeah, it's okay if you want to say it's climate change and build better, but guess what? Our colleagues are affected, and they have to go sit and take care of people, and they don't have no house, right? How do they understand what this climate change is? Are we going to include climate change in a curriculum? Because our doctors need to understand.
It has to be.
Our healthcare professionals have to have climate change and an effect. So my specialty, my area in relation to climate change might be logistics. I'm just saying. So if something comes up, I know that I will deal with the hospital logistics and the health logistics, right? But we have to prepare. Instead of taking when a hurricane comes or a disaster comes, we just take the young clinician who think to have wife and girlfriend and mother and all the rest of it, and he's running and is running and is running because there is a lot of need, right? He gets burnt out as well. Why isn't there a cadre of other people who can take up the slack, who are not as pressured in other areas, so that the people who are affected can recuperate? We're going to have to plan and prepare for disasters a whole lot differently, especially as health professionals, because we are affected. And even if you have a climate smart health center or hospital, you might have some walls left up over. What happens to the chain of getting products, food, and all the rest of it, water, electricity, all the things that we really don't have control over, communications, you name it. So supply chain, I was saying, supply chain for medications, right? They've had 14 people die from leptospirosis. 14 people not supposed to dead from leptospirosis in 2025. There must be some index of suspicion if you've had one death or 3 people ill and dead, but are we managing? Is the health sector managing with those? And therefore, we must be prepared. We must be trained to expect to know how do we gauge our participation in when there's a disaster. It might be an earthquake. It might just be a big old flood, right? It might be a big old fire that raged through the place. How do we manage disasters as healthcare professionals? That must be something that is foremost in our preparation in the future. But I want us to look at other things. Listen to me. I want us to look at other things. I want us to look at, 5 years ago, what were we doing? 5 years ago was 2020. Do you remember what happened in 2020? 5 years ago, we were all cloistered down, afraid, wearing masks, sanitizing, maintaining social distance because of COVID. And of course, by this time, we are all being vaccinated against COVID. I'm not going to go into the politics of vaccination. What I'll tell you is that I know that there's a significant drop in death among North American health professionals who had been vaccinated. There have been many a talk, many a theory, some of them I think quite conspiratorial. This is my opinion. I'm speaking as Sonia Nixon here. Right? But COVID was a problem. There's now a series of viruses causing the flu. I know schools have had to be locked down in the UK because of so many children having the flu, families having the flu. And was it H3N2, this new virus in China, right? Once it's in China, everybody gets frightened. But it's just that China has a very large population, and wherever they have large populations of with any infectious diseases, any easily spread disease, we'll have China. So guess what? I think COVID prepared us, educated us, got us really ready for infectious disease disasters. Wash your hands, boil your water, cover your mouth if you're coughing, stay away from people, keep your family healthy, mind your old people, mind the people who are at the extremes of life, the very young and the very old and pregnant women. We want to make sure that they are prevented from the diseases that can be spread easily and can cause them to die because of their compromised immune state. And so as we get into the season, it's rainy. I know you guys had a lot of rain last week. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have the cold, and some people have the flu. Sometimes it's common cold, sometimes it's flu. But we have to look out for other things because there's still mosquito-borne diseases because there's a lot of water all over the places. So watch out for chickpea, which still is around. What's Zika, and above all dengue, which is very, very prevalent. We have to make sure that we are very aware of it, right? So seek care early, go to your primary care physician, right? Still coughing in your sleeves and coughing in your napkins. And if you're in doubt as to what's going on, trust me, wear a mask. Wearing a mask is no insult to anybody, but it's also protection for people who are at risk for being extremely ill or dying from these communicable diseases. So let's talk about this year.
2025
is a marathon year that we can't stop run. We're not even talking about the natural disasters. Okay, we're just talking about being aware. I think what we've done this year is become even more aware of diseases and our responsibility as individuals, as individual Grenadians and Caribbean people and whoever is listening. But the responsibility that each individual has in keeping himself well, whether it's physically, mentally, and otherwise. The Prime Minister introduced financial wellness to his constituency in St. David's. People understanding, because that's just part of the whole component of being well. If all years of your life are well, then you're good, okay? We talk about health, being healthy, by insisting that different areas of your life are well managed. So we have focused a lot on chronic diseases. And why do we focus on chronic diseases? And what are those chronic diseases? What are chronic diseases? Chronic diseases are diseases that you kind of don't get by you can't catch it, okay? That would last for more than 3 months, that requires lifestyle change, that there may not be a vaccine for, not altogether, because we can still vaccinate for hepatitis B and HPV, which causes HPV causes cancer of the cervix, of the throat and other areas, the soft epithelial tissues. And we can also, and then you have to change your lifestyle in order to be able to control these chronic diseases. And if you don't change your lifestyle, it's going to get worse, and it's going to cost us a lot. And it's going to be very debilitating and can lead to death. And the diseases that we talk about a lot, there are others, I agree, and I hope people understand, but the ones that really take a lot of the national health budget are the things like hypertension and diabetes. By 2030, 30% of the world is going to have diabetes. 30%. Okay? And of course, probably double figures, 10% already has hypertension. Almost everybody who has diabetes has hypertension, not necessarily the other way around. So those are things. What we're seeing as well is that this hypertension and this diabetes are occurring in a much younger population. So we're in trouble, okay? Because you have a younger population getting ill. What does it mean from an economic standpoint? It means that by the time they get into full-blown adults, they have already have long-standing disease. It means that because of severe illness, they can't contribute to the country's coffers and to the social services, and they extract earlier from the social services. So they will be on pension because they can't work. They get pension earlier. They have not made any major contribution, and they will probably not make any future contribution to the social security system, specifically, right? Sadly, we see, like I said, a lot of the diseases appearing earlier in the population, and it's mostly, and these diseases, like I said, have to do with lifestyle, alcohol, drinking sugar-sweetened beverages, a lot of processed foods, lack of exercise, smoking, and that's what's going on. Those are the things that affect us. So we see a younger population being very ill and needing care, and needing more care for a longer time because they're younger. And I want us to go through them one by one. So one of the things we had a lot of problems with this year, and I'm reflecting on the things we've tried to do. Childhood obesity was probably one of the front runners when it came to what can we approach. Because I think this is my opinion, there's a population of us that already are headed to being ill, right? And are already ill. Unfortunately, not a very old population. But then there's a population that we need to save, and that's our children who are exposed so much to all the ills, lack of exercise. We have not been given them proper food, poor nutrition generally, and there's been a lot of, a lot of people acting against a lot of opposition, that's the word, to wanting to contain the epidemic of childhood obesity that we have. Every year, we see that our little children in preschool, right, have there's a growing percentage of children who come up as obese. In other words, they're more than 35% of their body weight that it should be for the age and height and gender. Okay? So that's a problem. If you look at it, what happens to obese children? Obese children going to obese adults. Obese adults are at greater risk. Obesity is probably the greatest risk factor.
For a lot of things. For a lot of things.
For a lot of the diseases and for cancers. And of course, the one who's coming up, which is another problem we have that we have not been addressing at all, is alcohol. Alcohol consumption, there's nothing called, this year it was determined, put on the board, that there's nothing called safe drinking. No, responsible drinking. As a matter of fact, the amount of alcoholic beverages you should have a day is 0. That's not kind of good from an economic standpoint, where the Caribbean has always made alcohol the best tasting alcohol in the world, and we have an international market that craves. But at the same time, 40% of the alcohol that we produce in the Caribbean, and I'm talking about the liquor ciders like Caribbean and Smirnoff Ice, and I'm not talking about that, okay? And even beer. I'm talking about hard liquor. I'm talking about those rum in a bottle that have very high proof, right? That people consume a lot of. We consume 40% of what we make. So if you make 10 barrels of rum, you drink 4. That's almost like drinking the profit 1, but 2, that's keeping the diseases and putting ourselves at risk for diseases that we don't deserve, that we can avoid. So I don't know how we're going to approach. We have to find a mechanism to approach the whole issue of alcohol consumption, because we also know that a lot of our men who are diabetic are also severe alcohol consumers. So you see them with amputation. An amputated man can't go out and work and feel anymore as he used to. He can't go run in boat. He can't do a lot of stuff, do his carpentry. He can't climb scaffolding to paint. Okay? So his family and the quality of life that his entire family will enjoy is obviously going to be mitigated. There's no two ways about it. So one one of the things that came up in this whole childhood obesity thing, and it's been a war going on in the Caribbean, right, was trying to get us to vote in favor of front of package warning labels. Remember, we had a big to do. Front of package warning labels mean that on the front of packages you put high in salt, high in fats, high in sugars. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
On a like a stop sign, a black stop sign. Interestingly, because when we tried to have last year, when we tried to have an intervention 2 years ago, when we tried to have a media intervention in front of a Bruce Street Mall, we were out there and we had these things and we're just talking to people, and we asked, if you want to buy snacks for your children, what snacks do you buy for your children? And they said they buy XYZ. So what if it on that snack appeared high in salt, high in sugar, would you buy it? No way. No. So it means that there is some knowledge that families need to acquire and people need to acquire in order to make more informed decisions in relation to their health and the health of their children. Grenada did not vote favorably, and this is still not taken as a CARICOM stuff, and that bothers me. Okay, and bothers a lot of us public health practitioners, that this is something that we should be out there stating, considering the level of people with diabetes and hypertension in our population. Because this is where it starts. It actually starts from our children not having proper foods. And where do we get these improper foods? We buy fast food, especially those in the pretty color boxes whose name I will not call, right? And then we buy the highly processed foods, like the corn curls, Lord, and I don't mean to use the brand name here, but the cheese products, and we buy sodas, and we buy box juices, and we let the fruits rotten. We don't make mango juice. We buy juice in a box, and it costs a whole lot. And basically, the cost is just the cost of the box, because what is put into the box is really not anything nutritious. It's sugar and water and some citric acid to keep it from spoiling, and a toops of salt, right, to keep it from spoiling. And it's nice that our children have the same color box and the same kind of box like their friends have, and they all go down the same negative path. Right? I know there are a little more parents encouraging their children to have water instead of sugar-sweetened beverages, and that's just something we're glad for. What is going to be the next move? What should be the next move? The Food and Nutrition Council, and Mrs. Brown in particular, and probably we'll have her next week to help out here. The Food and Nutrition Council have a school nutrition policy that they had done years ago. And while they have had it implemented in some of the schools, it's not everywhere. But it includes providing a nutritious meal for our children, right? Keeping away all of those highly processed foods, the biscuits and the cookies and all those things that, that we buy for our children, and make our children feel like they're part of the good population, the people who are doing well. Whereas we really being unfair to our children, because one, they can't they make bad choices because they don't know better, and they lead us as parents, and we think we have to give them. And you hear parents talk about me. I eat enough. I eat too much mango for my break, and my mother give me fig and saltfish sauce to go to school, right? And my children not having that in their school. I wouldn't put that in my children's lunch pan, which is the nutritious thing for the children should have in their lunch pan anyway. And if all the kids were eating nutritious meals, nobody would be prejudiced against anybody. If everybody had the same kind of nutritious meals every day, we wouldn't have people say, hey, what are you eating there? No, we wouldn't have that. Okay? So the Food and Nutrition Council has a school nutrition policy, right? That's based on the national dietary guidelines. So the kids get the right amount of sugars they need. Yes, you need some, but it must be measured. They get the proteins they need. They get the vitamins they need. All the nutrition, all the nutrients that they need are in the foods that are prepared, right? Why must there be a battle as to what we take into schools for children to eat? There shouldn't be a battle. We should be able to implement the school nutrition policy, right, through the school feeding program, right, so that kids can have meals. And the children will tell you, they don't want all this thing, fried chicken and chips. Where you guys get off of this? I must say, however, that I saw today I saw on the internet where the Ministry of Agriculture gave to some schools like Green Bananas and Blogger and stuff. And I guess they would cook that for the kids with the chicken or whatever meat they think, and whichever vegetable they have. Okay, so it means that we are at a point where those changes are being made, and it must. And I know there are farmers in the rural areas who actually take produce to schools to ensure that the children have good food instead of them eating rice and chicken every day, rice and rice and rice. And of course, I speak many times of the banning of ramen. The ramen that we eat is bad for our kids. The oil they put into it has puts you at risk for developing high cholesterol. It has too much salt, and that pasta is just flour and water. There's nothing nutritious. It might stop a gap, but it's not a nutritious meal. It is not a nutritious meal. Like I said, the Mexicans say, we're not giving Mexican children that foolishness. And that's the law in the country. Okay? Can we get to that point?
We can. I mean, it does take a little effort. We can.
It takes effort. And I think it takes collaboration and understanding, because at the end of the day, I think parents and grandparents want the best for their children when it comes to their health. You can't say, okay, do this, we're going to stop, we're going to ban, if you ban sugar-sweetened beverages, what do you give the kids? Would there be healthy water? Would there be clean water? Would there be always available water for the children? You have to think about all of these things, whether you can substitute what you think is bad with something that's excellent.
Well, I mean, we did
a research. Mm-hmm. We did research on some of the schools and the facilities for providing water for the children, even from the taps. Most of the schools don't have coolers, but even from the taps, you can't have them outside because it's really too hot. Climate change the water in the pipe is hot, right? But even then, there's some areas that just did not have sanitary facilities. I don't want to go outside and stand up in mud to have to drink some water in a pipe. I remember my daughter changed school because she went to the pipe one day at a private school, and a congaree came out, and she decided she's not going back there. No way in hell. Mm-hmm. And we had to change and send her to basic a parochial school. And she was quite happy. Right? But we have to make sure that those facilities are available. We can ask to change, but we also have to know that we have a responsibility to ensure that we have good facilities for children when they go to school. All right?
Definitely. Doc, I'm listening to you there, and I'm looking at both the primary and secondary care, and I'm sort of comparing, and it seems to me that some of the challenges that we face with secondary care did not start there. It started earlier.
Obviously.
It started earlier with with
failed primary care.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Because primary care is supposed to address prevention, education and prevention and early screening. Right? So nutrition is very important. Exercise is very important. You remember going to primary school and we had a thing that the alphabet of health. A is for air that we breathe every day. Do you remember that?
Yes.
B is for bathing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I've been looking for that thing because I really want it back, right? And drinking clean water. I was reading some stuff this week that spoke of. I was reading West Indian Readers, book 2. Mm-hmm. It's funny how much of the reading lessons, the comprehensive lessons, spoke of self-care.
But Doc, I don't know if you remember, but I clearly remember going to primary school. When as children, when we got to school, the teachers would check your fingernails. They would check to see if your hair. So that and in those days we used to call it what? It was health science.
Yes.
And they would check all of these things. Your clothes had to be, clean. Your hair had to be properly combed. Your nails had to be clean. Because they would cut your nails.
Yeah, they have a nail clip.
Yeah, I recall from time to time you would have people from the Ministry of Health coming to the schools, and they would give toothpaste and toothbrush. And there was a lot of things that happened then that you don't even hear about now. You don't hear about it.
Yeah, because we rely on the internet.
Well.
Right, and there's so many. I guess the academic curricula has become so ample. There have been so many things to the point where physical education has become a subject for CXC and not a participatory activity in schools for children. And while we're on that, I want to talk about that because I think hats off to the Ministry of Sports on two things. One, the setting up the sports councils in the different parishes that are supposed to intervene in ensuring that parishes have sporting activities, more so focusing on physical literacy, where people understand that physical activities is an important part of well-being, an important part of life in general. So you can be a cricketer, or you can play cricket, not to be a cricketer, but either way, you benefit from the physical well-being of being active. So activity is what's important. Yes, we'll see the talent. Yes, they'll see the children who are talented. Yes, we see the footballers and we see the cricketers and the netballers and stuff. But all children everybody will have an opportunity and must have an opportunity to be physically active. Mm-hmm. And I want to appeal to parents who give their children excuses for not playing games, for not going out for physical activity because they don't want them to sweat. Trust me, they need to sweat. And think about it again, because our children need to be active. We know that when our children play during the day, when they run up and down, the children are supposed to be active an hour per day. Our primary school children. We know that when they run up and down, they don't sleep in class. We know that they lose weight. In other words, there's no chance of obesity. But we also know that the mental output, right, is better.
Yeah, than, you're more alert. You're more, Mm-hmm.
You're more alert, and you absorb more. Your brain, the blood flowing through your brain. Your brain is very active. So there's another thing about the sports councils, and is that they've been the ministry has been training physical education teachers. It means that we're back in business, where PE is now an activity in school for all children. The Ministry of Sports, Ministry of Education, I guess collaboratively, because guess what? Our children have to be active. And in some structured way, you want to make sure that they're safe as well. So you want to make sure that you have that thing. We've seen some other things this year. We've seen the adolescent health policy, part of which had the sexual and reproductive health. Part of the adolescent health policy had a very controversial law, still not passed, but it takes into account what that does is really look at adolescent health in a very comprehensive, wide way. It does look at other aspects of adolescent health, just general development, nutrition, disease, dealing with mental health challenges and all the rest of it, just as if they were an adult, but in an adolescent environment where people understand what adolescents experience, right? Being able to talk about how they feel emotionally and stuff. I don't know what's going to happen with the law, but it has its place to make sure that all children have a recourse when they're faced with sexual and reproductive health challenges, okay, that their parents don't support them in. We spoke of GFNC, we spoke of childhood obesity prevention, we spoke of agricultural development, and I see the Ministry of Agriculture has really been making lots of efforts to encourage people to do backyard farming and all the rest of it. And those are things that are going to benefit us as citizens. So we can follow what Mrs. Brown said: eat what you grow what you eat, right? We can follow that remit, right? And so what we also have seen a lot of focus on mental wellness. A lot of focus this year on mental wellness, right? It is a lot to take in, but every time we take in a little bit, we get a little better than we were before.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Every time we do a little bit, right? And one of the things in mental wellness is the whole tolerance you're going to have to develop and removal of stigma related to mental health challenges, related to mental illness. Understanding that people who are mentally ill have similar, it's just like if you were diabetic, it's just another illness. So we kind of need to crack the nut of the enemy, which is the NCDs, right? And you talked about it, and I want us to go on to that. It's a pity that in our frail economic system, we have so many chronic diseases. Recently, Dr. Matthias was here and he was very concerned about the amount of diabetes. You know, he's a internal medicine specialist, but he does endocrinology, right? Under which diabetes comes. And he was very concerned about the level of not just having disease, but the poor control. I know the ministry is doing its part, and I hope it can extend its duties, because the ministry has actually guidelines for diabetes management, global guidelines, like what we call an algorithm. Is your blood sugar high? Yes. Are you taking any medication? Or if you're not taking medications, you go this way. If you're taking medication, what are you taking? What has been your readings? You know, that tells patients how to manage. In the same way, there's a policy and a plan, a program, I should say, that was implemented in May for control of in the management of hypertension, of high blood pressure. So we have groups of medications that a patient takes. We have, how do you start? What do you have to do? How do you start with just what we call hygiene methods? Cutting down your salt, weight loss, stress management, all of those things, right? And then there's where you don't just give medications to any old how, because I can tell you, I come from one school of thought, you come from another school of thought, and in 20 years ago, everybody was just doing what they felt like. No, there's this global way of managing. The heart is a global program, and there are groups of drugs that are used to make sure that patients can get under control. And every patient should ask a doctor, if my pressure is not controlled, how are we doing with the heart's program? Can we use that to try and get my pressure under control? Because what we don't want is that if you have high blood pressure, eventually your lack of control of blood pressure makes your heart fail. That makes your kidney fail, make you have strokes and heart attacks, right? Those are even more demanding on our already fragile health sector. It means that we're going to have to really tip up or top up our primary health care. And primary health care has two parts. It has a public sector and a private sector, okay? The public sector is what the government runs, the government clinics, the clinics, whatever level of clinics, and then we have your general practitioners and the doctors who work in the community. The truth is we all have to be on the same page when it comes to patient management. Otherwise, we spin in top in mud. If there's any program, I expect that the government will share what are the tenets of this program with the rest of the doctors, because most of the doctors actually work in private sector anyway, just in interest of patients' well-being. And so I'm saying to our Grenadians tonight, when you go to the doctor, make sure that he's using the programs that they're there. And for Pete's sake, let's go to the doctor. Let's go to the doctor and get our annual checks. Let's go to the doctor and get our go to health fairs and learn about what is high blood pressure and what is diabetes and sickle cell and other things that are chronic disease, but especially diabetes, high blood pressure. How do I screen for diabetes and hypertension? What puts me at risk for developing cancer? And that's a whole package on its own, you know, because if we look at the amount of people who die from cancer, and it's funny because it's rising in the whole Caribbean. There are things we need to look at, and I think a lot of this is the food that we eat, right? How do I screen for cancer? What are my risks for cancer? If my father's had prostate cancer, am I at risk as a man, as a male, for having prostate cancer as well? If my mother has breast cancer, my aunties, her sisters, my dad's sisters have had breast cancer, or my cousin on that side, what are my chances of getting breast cancer? So we should have that awareness, and so people can start looking. You may not be able to stop a disease, but you probably can fix a disease if it comes. Fix it early and survive. We have cancer survivors for 40 years here in Grenada because people diagnosed early and got the treatment, and the treatment wasn't as sophisticated as we have today, but we have people who have been treated and who still are alive today and can tell you the story, right? So Screen it, and it's available. Go to your health center, get your pap smear done. Women who have become sexually active need to, and sexual activity means if you've had intercourse one, you have been sexually active. Once, it doesn't mean that you have to have an ongoing partner and having sexual intercourse. Once you have engaged in sexual activity, you need to be doing, because the virus that causes you to develop cancer of the cervix, cancer of the neck of the womb, is transmitted during sexual intercourse from the male to the female. Okay? And it can transmit back from a female to a male, who would probably give it to another female, and it goes on down the road. But we have to use the services in the primary care. Else secondary care is going to be constantly overburdened. You shouldn't have to go to the hospital and there are 20 men who have had amputations occupying our beds. Because we should be screening our men early, since they're a high-risk group, right? And determining you have diabetes and educating them and supporting them to take care of the diabetes and to maintain their well-being and preserve their limbs in particular. In the same with a woman, you have family history of cancer, breast cancer, whatever. Let's make sure we screen you early. Let's look for anything. It may occur, but let's be able to eradicate it so you can have a good life, so that you don't die at 45 and leave your young children, orphaned for their mothers. So those are the things. Going to the health center, getting screened, getting your dental care, which is also very important when it comes to your nutritional state. If you don't have good teeth, you can't eat food properly, and you miss a lot of nutrients. So your nutritional state is poor. It means that some of those chronic diseases are going to take you over because you don't have a lot of the basic nutrition that you need to keep your body healthy. Okay? I know people say, oh, there's no health insurance and all the rest of it, but there is primary care that is available through the government sector that we need to make more use of. Right, and I implore my colleagues who are in primary care and even in private sector to spend a little more time with our patients, educating them, right? Educating them about the fact that they need to they must come for care. That here's what we are concerned about. We have to educate ourselves to be able to empower our patients to be healthy, especially our young patients. I'm looking forward so much for adolescent health clinics, right? Where adolescents could go and always get a check, get the blood pressure check and those kind of things. And they understand what's going to happen to me when I become 21, 22. What's going to happen to me if I become sexually active? All of those things they need to know early so that they can take control of their lives. Because if we don't save this generation, we're in trouble for another 6 generations.
Look,
right? And we don't have to.
Yeah, this is very important. But let me ask though, because clearly there are some shortfalls with our primary health care. How can we improve that? What needs to be done? Now, while I agree that with what is available, we need to take advantage early,
yes.
Make use of what is available. But how can we improve that? To is the burden at the secondary level?
Oh, hold on. I think first of all, if we use primary care services, there would be enough pressure put on the services to make sure that they can deliver. Do you understand what I'm saying? That they can deliver. That physicians and nurses and whichever clinicians, mental health clinicians that are there, recognize that this is where we have to take care of our patients before we kill off our system. Like I tell you, when I go to the hospital, I mustn't see people who are up there because they have a headache that they've been having from Wednesday on a Saturday night.
But could that be? But could that be because of the shortcomings of the primary healthcare system? Because, for example,
it's a catch-22. The system has kind of, and this is what my observation, right? The system has kind of laid kind of fallow. People go, they get a prescription, they go. It's not. I think the care can be improved. I think the education that is offered to patients must be improved. It must be a little more structured and more systematic. People must want to go there because it's inviting. Mm-hmm. We have to improve our confidentiality, which is one of the challenges that people have with going to their community health. That somebody going on their business, men not going at all because their wife going to hear that they come there, right? So those professional attributes must be implemented. I go to work. I have my hypertension. I must spend 15 minutes with Miss Jane because she seems to have a problem with taking her medication. Take it someday, she doesn't take it someday. I must talk to Mr. Tom because he's diabetic and don't feel that he must take it. And he doesn't understand that his erectile dysfunction is not due to the medication, due to not taking his medication because his sugar is constantly out of control. And all of those things, and why he shouldn't be taking Viagra, whether it's under the counter, over the counter, on top of the table, I don't care where, right? Why he shouldn't be taking it because his heart is not functioning well and that he's likely to die. Those are the things. We have to get to a point where we can educate our population sufficiently. And it has to be at a primary care level. It has to be at a primary care level. It has to be like here, where we're talking about stuff that we can talk about the stuff long before people get sick. People have to understand that you don't just get sick overnight. You get sick because you have not been in a situation where you are informed. Okay?
This is very important.
Right? You're not been in a situation that you're informed, and all of this is happening. It's like not being able to build Rome in a day. Right? When you have stage 4 cancer, you've had stage 1, 2, and 3 before that. Right? And you may not have paid attention to the signs. You may not have simply done screening. Right? You have not done screening, which is often relatively cheap and affordable and available above all. You can get a pap smear done in a health center. Right? You can pay for a pap smear outside. You can go to GPPA and get a pap smear for less than $100 and have results in 2 weeks. I'm saying it's available. Or men need to go and get a prostate check because you know that black men have a high incidence of prostate cancer, and that black men will die because by the time they go and check themselves, they already have advanced prostate cancer, which is one of the slowest growing cancers, but men simply don't want to do that which is required, or they don't understand. And so, like, my favorite thing, pastor uses the same Bible every week. We have to keep giving the same message over and over and over until our population is convinced and our population is concerned enough to want to take care of themselves. We have this thing that we say that something had to carry me go. Right? Something had to take me out. Really? When? No? Or when you're 80? Make up your mind. Right? Because there's no need to have a disease that you prolong for 5, 10, 15 years. Right? Thinking, something have to take me out. If you want to walk with diabetes, you're on your own. But the point is, you can avoid the things that we can avoid. We need to avoid them so that people can all enjoy. You're coming to enjoy 10. So we must all be able to enjoy the 10 that's gifted to us, right? And preserve our life. We talk about being Christian, and we're told that this is a temple where God dwells. So you can put God to live in an old jupa.
Yes, indeed. Doc, we just need to take a quick break, and we'll come right back. So let's take a quick break here, and we'll come right back. Stay with us, folks. Don't go anywhere.
You've asked for it, and we've delivered. Shop and Save Supermarket at Victoria Street, Grenville, your new one-stop shop for all your grocery and household needs. Come shop and save on dry goods, fruit, and vegetable. We're your ultimate meat market and supplier of household appliances. Our addition of a deli for hot meals and snacks makes us your ultimate one-stop shop. Remember, we're the place to shop and save. Come check us out today. Victoria Street, Grenville, St. Andrew.
Megaforce Promotions, in proud collaboration with Ariza Credit Union and GBN, presents Grenada's biggest flea market at Monroe Plainfield, Saturday 20th and Sunday 21st December, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily. Shop unbeatable deals on bed and curtain sets, appliances, household items, electrical and plumbing supplies, toys, Christmas decorations, clothing and shoes, perfumes and colognes, wines and drinks, and just about everything else. Plus plus a kids area, live entertainment, food and drink stalls. Want to be a vendor? Call 440-4646 to book your spot before they're all gone. Admission $5. 2 full days of deals and more deals. Shopping, fun and savings. Monroe's Plainfield Flea Market. Don't miss it. Megaforce Promotions, in proud collaboration with Ariza Credit Union and GBN, presents Grenada's biggest flea market at Monroe's Plainfield, Saturday 20th and Sunday 21st December, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily. Shop unbeatable deals on bed and curtain sets, appliances, household items, electrical and plumbing supplies, toys, Christmas decorations, clothing and shoes, perfumes and colognes, wines and drinks, and just about everything else. Plus a kids area, live entertainment, food and drink stalls. Want to be a vendor? Call 440-4646 to book your spot before they're all gone. Admission $5. 2 full days of deals and more deals. Shopping, fun and savings. Monroe's Plainfield Flea Market. Don't miss it.
This holiday season, let the Monica Benoit Wonderland of Lights lead the way to Christmas at the Point. Starting November 30th, the Quarantine Point Recreational Park transforms into a glowing wonderland with dazzling light displays that are the true showstoppers of the season. Take a magical tuk-tuk tunnel ride through twinkling arches. Explore Santa's grotto, cozy up with a picnic blanket under the stars, and savor delicious eats from local vendors. Entry is just $5 for walk-ins, $10 per carload, and $20 for premium carload parking. Plus, grab a cozy picnic blanket for only $40 and enjoy the season in style. Special pricing applies for New Year's Eve. Visit our Instagram or Facebook pages at Rotary Club of Grenada Events for more details. It's holiday fun for the entire family every night from 5 p.m. till midnight, and it all supports the charitable work of the Rotary Club of Grenada. Christmas at the Point. When the sun sets, the wonder begins. Mark your calendars. It all begins November 30th.
Welcome back. It's Doctor and Call, and folks, our telephone line is open as well. The number is 435-2041. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, you can definitely do so. The number again, 435-2041, or you can post your questions on our WhatsApp platform. Same number, 435-2041, or on our Facebook page or YouTube channel, and we'll definitely get them. And we'll try our best to provide you with the answers that you're looking for. So again, 435-2041. If you have any questions or you would like to contribute to the program in any way, you can do that. All right. Yes, indeed. So, Doc, talking about, just reflecting on the year gone by, and we are at a point where we tend to indulge a little bit more than normal. So we've spoken about the chronic conditions and some of the things that bring it on, the obesity, the hypertension, all of these things. But we are at a time of year when these things are a little more prominent, and we do indulge a little more than normal. Yeah. How can we celebrate while at the same time, paying very close attention to what is most important to us?
Says that moderation in all things, right? guess what? You could never eat all the food that's there. We cook a lot of food. You know, I was in the U.S. just at Thanksgiving. I went over the night of Thanksgiving. So I don't go for Thanksgiving because I don't eat turkey. Okay. But I was talking to one of my friends, and he was very upset about the waste that occurs around this big festive time. We cook all this food, and we cannot consume all of this food. And next one, people throw it in the garbage. We have to be very careful with that kind of practice. The other thing is that I think you don't have to eat a lot. I mean, you can eat a little bit of everything, but you don't have to eat a lot. One of the things that we tend to do, especially those of us who have disease, we throw caution to the wind and we stop taking medicine.
That's right.
We stop taking medicine, and a lot of people are known who come for vacation and know not to go back because they want to drink, want to empty the vat out at, what the place name? At Clark's Court. Nobody can empty Clark's Court vat. Let me inform you guys, because there's always more where that came from, right? And they want to drink, so they stop taking their medication. They stop walking their 20, 30 minutes in the morning. They stop control what they eat. And then they drink a lot of alcohol is sugar. Alcohol is sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they had a concentration of sugar. Alcohol is sugar. So if you want to go and substitute your food for alcohol, that's up to you. Just make sure that you can fix yourself. Because people fail to understand that alcohol is probably the worst enemy, a one-off, that we have at this time. Because when we want to drink, we don't want it to be in combat, in competition with the medications that we're required to take. Okay? So I'm not saying not to have a piece of cake. Just not eat a whole cake. Right? You don't need to eat all the fruit cake. A little sliver is okay. And control, if you're going to have a piece of cake, then you say, boy, I don't want no rice and peas and the mac and cheeses. We all eat this massive amount of mac and cheese. Bad for us. So look and see. Food and Nutrition Council must have guidelines online as to what the values are of the meat. And just have a little bit of everything if you want to have everything. But you can't eat loads of everything. So when at the end of the season people so much weight they put on, why you do that? And I still want you to get up and dance and enjoy yourself, have fun. I like Christmas for other people. I don't really like the season, but I like the fact that people and their family come from foreign and grandparents see their grandchildren and auntie come back home and you get things and that kind of happiness. I like it, but I think we indulge in so much toxic behaviors. Otherwise, first of all, we spend money that we don't have, and that is a source of stress. You don't have to be like the Joneses. Trust me, the Joneses don't have no money. They're just pretending. Okay? Why would you throw out your old washing machine when it can work? You don't need to buy what you have. We shop and we fill up the deep freeze. What is in the bottom of the deep freeze you don't know? Buy what you need. It's hard economically for everybody. So let's not put ourselves at added expense. Let's not go and borrow money from whoever to have a Christmas party. You don't have to go to all the Christmas fetes there are. You want to go to New Year's Eve? You save when you go to New Year's Eve fete, one fete. And it's better up on the hill watching the fireworks anyway. You and your friends meet and have a little, informal thing, watch the fireworks and go to your house. Because that's New Year's Eve anyway. Okay?
Indeed.
I want people to remember, though, to go to get their checks before the season comes on. Know where you are. Be checking your blood sugar regularly. It's a habit I try to encourage all my patients to monitor their blood pressure. It gives you power. It's you're in control of your life. You know what your sugar is like. I tell you where I think it's good for you. You make it good for you. Because at the end of the day, you're responsible for your own life. Make sure you get enough sleep, because sleep deprivation makes your blood pressure go up and make blood sugar control more hard. You don't sleep, your sugar going to be higher because your body can't adjust appropriately. You don't sleep, your blood pressure is going to be more elevated and hard to control.
You know, Doc,
so those are some of the...
Yeah, as you mentioned this, to check your blood sugars and so, look, folks, you don't have to wait for you to be diabetic or hypertensive to check your pressure and your blood sugar. Check it. Make sure you in a good place, and when you know that, then you're in a better position to avoid or prevent it from getting high. You know, so check it out. It's worth it. You know, don't wait until you go to the doctor and then Dr. Nixon says, "Hey, look, listen, you're diabetic or you're pre-diabetic," and then she has to start giving you instructions. Well, you have to do half an hour exercising every morning. You know, and all of these things. We could save ourselves that, you know, if we just pay attention and do what we have to do. Yeah, Doc.
So that's diabetes and hypertension. If you fail to take care of them over 2 and 3 weeks, you would get ill. There's no two ways about it. If you fail to take your medications and still don't do the regular thing, the exercise and stuff, you will get ill. If you fail to take your medications, don't do exercise, eat crap, too much of the foolishness, you're going to get even iller. Right? And then the walk back becomes difficult. The walk back to normalcy, especially so many of us, can I see patients making efforts, you know? So many of us have tried to really be in a good place, you know, be in control of our diabetes. There's no need to lose that. And you can be happy controlling your sugar and enjoying the company of your friends and your family. Right? You don't have to be drinking 6 beer. I mean, I was talking to a gentleman whose sugar was up, and he would tell me drink 6 beers a day. How do you drink 6 beers a day? Does you drink other alcohol? You know, those are the challenges. And again, I think my colleagues who in the health sector have to encourage people to live healthy lifestyles. How do you control alcohol? If you think you have a problem with alcohol consumption, there's ways to deal with it or not. Ask a doctor, ask a nurse, where can I get some help to control my alcohol use? Right? I think I'm drinking too much. If you have to drink every day, you are an alcoholic. If you have to drink 6 and 8 beers when you meet the guys on Saturday, you have a problem. Okay? You can have a beer once in a while and stuff, right? But if every day you are compelled to go and get a drink, you have an alcohol problem. Okay? And worse yet, when that becomes a problem for your family. One, you can become very angry and belligerent and abusive and create a very unhappy family, social family life environment. Not to mention the mental health of the family, where you and your belligerents come and you don't take care of your, and you come and you want to fight your wife in the night or your husband if you're a woman, and you quarrel. The children have to wake up with dinner. Okay, right? Create that kind of situation. If you have a problem with alcohol, trust me, help can be given, right? But you have to recognize that you have a problem with alcohol and be willing, right? Be willing to get rid of it. Apart from that, the dysfunction that couples, that the partner experiences in somebody who does alcohol is really hard, because they know how to function at work, being beaten, abused, all the rest of it. Okay, and we see improved physical abuse in families where you have alcohol as a factor. Right? The other thing is that be careful, young people in particular, with being spiked in the drinks that you feel you can go and drink out a party. Watch for people putting stuff into your car, into your thing. You know, I was talking to a colleague who has been managing sexually transmitted diseases, and she and talking about gonorrhea that doesn't respond to regular treatment,
right? And
how much it's improving, right? Treatment-resistant gonorrhea. So be very careful, young people, who you're sleeping with, who you're having intercourse with. Be very careful, young women in particular, that you don't get inebriated to the point that you don't know where you are or what's going on and you get raped. Okay? And if that should happen, please make sure and get some care, right? Because in these times, we tend to drink a little more and we tend to have a little more, a little more disinhibition. Be very, very careful, because that is a problem, right? That is a problem that we have around us, right?
Indeed. And Doc, aside from that, one of the things I noticed though, with especially people who are on medication for chronic conditions. So you visit the doctor, you get the medication, and of course the medication, it helps, but there seemed to be a perception that I have my medication so I can just continue doing what I'm doing, because I have the medication to get me back,
to fix back the bad things that I do.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate, because it's a misguided concept that I can still drink it because I take a tablet. Mm-hmm. I can still eat all of sweet foods and all of the processed foods that I want because I take a tablet. I can have some salt because I take a tablet. Okay, that's a very misguided concept, right? Because what you'd find is that, first of all, the index of suspicion of lack of wellness is lower. In other words, you don't think that you're unwell. You would not think that you're unwell, okay, taking your medication. So you don't check, especially if you're not checking. You don't think that you're unwell. And by the time you check, you can have so much damage. You might have a stroke. You might realize that, oh, my kidney's gone. Right? You may have a heart attack. Right? You may start realizing, oh my goodness, I'm getting gangrene in my foot. And I might lose my toe or half of my foot or my whole leg. Right? So that is a misconception, and people have to understand that taking medication does not substitute. Yeah. Does not substitute for taking the medication correctly.
Right.
For following the other parts of the regime that you need to follow.
Right. And finally, Doc, the time is going too fast. Finally, today I was talking to a gentleman, a friend of mine. We didn't see for a while, and we were chatting, and he said to me that some time ago he did suffer a heart attack. And the thing about it is, if you know the gentleman, he's not obese. It's small little guy. No fat on him. And one of the things he said to me though that really got my attention was, while he was in hospital, he was paying attention to his wife, and how she had to be running here and running there and trying to, make things happen and all of that. And
how unfair that was to her, eh?
Yes, and that was the thing, and so we need to stop being selfish. We need to stop being selfish.
We need to stop, and that's a very good point. Mm-hmm. And I really appreciate that gentleman's honesty, because a lot of people just think, well, you're my wife for better or for worse, or better for nurse, right? But the point I'm making is that we have to remember, at the end of the day, we all have to be responsible for ourselves and for our behaviors. Mm-hmm. Okay, we have to be responsible for ourselves and our behaviors, and in order to empower our families and to live in a healthier environment in our families, to work in a healthier environment, to be able to bring to wherever we are the best of ourselves, because that's the only thing that you can give. You should be given the best of yourself. In order to do that, you have to make sure that your health is good, your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, right? Your psychological health, your spiritual health, everything. And of course, that will help your financial health if everything else is down pat. Because financial health is also a very important component of well health and well-being. Okay? And Christmas comes, and I wish we don't have to have a lot of money. We just need to have a lot of love to give. Don't ask me, because I'm not giving you no gift, although I expect a gift from you. This is the one-sided.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. That's a good one. Good one indeed. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But seriously, let's not bend over backwards. If you don't have money, you can't give gifts. You don't have to promise your children things that you can't afford. Sit and explain to them why we can't do this year. Why we can't go to America to spend Christmas. Why we can't go to Antigua to stay auntie. Why we only buying half a ham and sharing with grandma, because things are not as good as they used to be.
And we have to, and we have to learn to teach people the value of things. So it doesn't necessarily mean because you didn't get a gift for Christmas, you can get that gift some other time when you're in a position where you can actually give it. So we have to learn these things, and it's important. It's important that we learn these things because it helps, especially in bringing up our children, and it
creates harmony in the household.
It does.
That's what we want to do. We want to make sure that everybody can grow together at the same time and enjoy Christmas, which is really a time to share love and peace and harmony and
family
about
time.
Keeping Christ in the middle. It's family coming.
Family time.
Yeah, family time.
It's important.
Yeah.
Doc, and just quickly the social aspect of things. Doing things with your family to, keep and you mentioned that togetherness. That bond between family, and
yes.
I know earlier we were talking, and you did mention, for example, what is now happening at quarantine with the Rotary and the lights, and it's all part of the excitement and part of celebrating the season.
And it's not expensive to do. It's somewhere you can go. It's open. There's food. You meet your friends. The most gleeful part of the most enjoyable part for me being at Quarantine Park is hearing the children running and screaming like they're in school.
Having a good time.
And it's a relatively safe environment. They run up and down. So I'm going to encourage people, take some friends. It's $5 to walk in. It's worth the $5 walking in. The lights are absolutely gorgeous. It's something you want to do with your friends. Take pictures and send for your family and tell them it's not them alone have nice light. Right? And they probably have transportation on some of the days up the hill because there's not a lot of parking up there for the amount of people who would like. But the Rotary Club really wants everybody to be able to appreciate the different programs every night. So you can look online. The different programs every night. There are different singers. Some nights it's just telling stories or watching a movie. Bring your blanket. Come sit down and, come enjoy time with your family. That you can buy a meal. You don't have to cook if you have a meal, right? Starts they open like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evenings. Just go. I know it's a little nippy these days because rain is falling, but go to Quarantine Park and enjoy something that is authentic Grenadian. Because that is what's about. It's authentic Grenadian. And we want every single Grenadian to get an opportunity to enjoy the entertainment and the salubrious environment and the safety that Quarantine Park gives to our population.
Yes, indeed. Doc, so,
it's actually Wednesday on to Sundays. Wednesday to Sundays.
So but the thing is, we're almost out of time. But next week would most likely be our final program for the year. But I want to focus on next week. Reminding people that look, while it's Christmas, we can make use of a lot of our local stuff that we have, and it's healthier. And I really hope we can get Mrs. Brown to join us. With some suggestions. I know people are planning their menu and all of these things for Christmas, and it's wonderful. You know,
Well, I'm planning on menu. I'm planning on menu coming by you.
I have no problem with that. You're so very welcome. I'll plan the menu with you in mind. Definitely.
I don't really like Christmas. So I just die for the day.
No. I love Christmas. I Christmas makes me feel really, really good. I love it. I love Christmas. So yeah, I hope we can get Ms. Brown to join us next week to, chat and probably put some suggestions out there for your Christmas meal, your menu, and we have a lot of local
portions and all the rest of it.
And you look around now and you're seeing a lot of, provisions, you're seeing plantains, you're seeing all those wonderful things that we can use.
A lot of pig.
Yes, we can use these things and make excellent dishes. So, next week we're gonna chat a little bit about that, and so you can at least have something in mind that you can work towards. Also, before we wrap, I just want to remind folks, it was made mention of in the news earlier, that as of this week, Week Culture will move to Thursdays instead of Fridays. Yeah, so keep that in mind. Week Culture would be on Thursdays at 8:30, instead of Fridays. So spread the word. Those of you who are hearing us, let your friends and family know that Week Culture will be on Thursday, and that starts this Thursday. Yeah. So, Doc, we're practically out of time. Your final words to our listeners and viewers.
Look, I want to tell our viewers that really happy those who have stayed and learned. And I meet people who say they learn a lot. I want you to implement whatever you learn into your life.
Oh, yes.
Start a new resolution now to make sure you go get screened. Do this. Go get it done. Think about it. Write it down when you're going to do X, Y, Z, and live up to it. Because that's only how we're going to be able to live long. There's so many, there were so many other stressors. The whole issue of, are they going to bomb Venezuela or not? Those are things that are in our psyche. It might not affect us openly daily, but it's part of our reality. Okay? And they create stress for us. Let's take control of the things over which we have control. Let's take control over the things that we have control. Okay? The rest of it, once we can deal with. Okay? And encourage your family, encourage your friends to, start walking, have family dinners together instead of one family cooking 2 turkey. Do potluck. Everybody come together and enjoy this. We used to do this when we weren't so wealthy. Okay, enjoy people in this time. But I want us to focus on the things that are going to come back next year: childhood obesity prevention, adolescent health. The mechanism for childhood obesity prevention, like school health, school nutrition, front of package 1 and labels, those things are going to come up. They're going to come up until we have them implemented as policy and as law in the country, right? And I want to ask parents and grandparents in particular to be aware of the changes we can make to ensure that our children are well, so that we don't have to skip 2 generations of 4 generations, 6 generations of people being a thing. Let's change the mindset that we are currently employing, right? And think you don't have to give your children whatever that thing in the red and white box is because you never get it. No, it's not necessary. And you don't have to get them every day. We still need to eat healthily, and it's actually not as expensive. Let's start having our community gardens and our backyard gardens again. Right? Let the Ministry of Education and Agriculture give you guidance. There are guidelines. They give us plants. You can go and buy cheap plants in Maribor from whoever sells plants. Let's make our lives happy by taking control of the things that we have control over.
Yes.
And of course, let's boil the water because rain falling. And let's make sure that we don't have water with mosquitoes. I found water and mosquitoes when I came. I was really disappointed because I was away during all the rain and water accumulated, so I had to deal with that. So look out for mosquitoes accumulated and of course boil your water so we won't have diarrhea diseases, and especially among our children and our older population. God bless you guys and have a great week.
Thank you very much, Doc. Thank you, folks. It was indeed a pleasure being with you. Tomorrow evening, join us for Kaiso Talk. We're talking parang. Yeah, we started that conversation last week, and come tomorrow evening, you're going to hear about the different instruments that are used in authentic parang. We'll also talk about how parang has transitioned, where it came from and where it is today. So be sure to join us for that tomorrow, and of course on Thursday, We Culture. Keep that in mind. Thank you so very much, and hey, we trust that you have a good night's sleep, and get up early tomorrow, ready to go and be productive. Thank you. Have a good night. All the best.